Have you ever looked into different personality types that are out there? Maybe you've taken for work or for a group or a team or something like that. Maybe you've taken the DISC personality. DISC personality is an awesome way to be able to tell a lot of really good work interaction and communication. Maybe you've dived a little bit deeper into the 16 personalities or Myers-Briggs personality, where they kind of show you ups and downs, highs and lows, different things like that. And it kind of goes a little bit deeper into personalities, into preferences, all that kind of stuff. For other people, they've looked into a vast majority of different things. You have like StrengthsFinder, the Myers-Briggs, the 16 personalities, DISC, all different types. One of the ones that I stumbled across a while back, probably about like 2.5 years ago, that I've learned more and more about has been Enneagram. And if you don't know anything about Enneagram, I'll try to leave a link in the bio so you can see about going on and just taking your assessment and trying to see what is your style, what is your personality. Enneagram doesn't have good or bad personalities. What it has is 1 through 9, different personality types, and you could be a 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9. And those different personality types typically have one main number and then a number that they might like wing towards. And a wing would be, if you're a number 1, you're either going to be a 2 or a 9. If you're a number 6, you're either going to be a 7 or a 5. It goes to the number just adjacent to it. And oftentimes that just shows like a person's main personality and then sometimes kind of like how they might lean different directions. Enneagram also has 2 other numbers that correlate from that one number that kind of like crisscross around the circle, but it has 2 other numbers that are either your growth mode or your stress mode. And a person can be in either one depending on how they're growing or what stressful environment or how unhealthy they are in one sense. So as you get into Enneagram, it's a whole another world of stuff to be able to learn. So, to give you an idea, my Enneagram number is Enneagram 8, which is the challenger. Okay? And with this, there's a lot of, domineering. There's a lot of like high D personality. There's a lot of like very much like, this is who I am. And like, it's not, at times coming across as like running people over. Okay, especially in like the work environment. Like, this is my idea, we have to do it, we're going this way, all that kind of stuff. So what I want to talk to you about is obviously not just Enneagram, but I want to talk to you about narcissism with Enneagram. So in this book that I've been reading, and I've shared a little bit with you guys before, just the book When Narcissism Comes to Church. So it's a really great book that I've had a lot of good information come out of this. It's by Chuck DeGroat, When Narcissism Comes to Church. So we're going to read a little section here, and this is talking about type 8, so the narcissist, type 8, the challenger. Okay, so listen up real quick. Most in the path of narcissistic challenger feel blown down like trees by a tornado. He can be forceful, relentless, profoundly unaware of the extent of his strength. He may be dismissed as a bully, as arrogant, as shameless. And yet he longs for someone to enter into his powerful energy field to risk connection. Like Lenny of Mice and Men, he longs to hug and hold and squeeze, but may be unaware of his own power. Most don't realize that a majority of people in the world don't feel the immense energy in their being that they feel. My compassion grows as I realize that the challenger is really a little boy or a little girl longing for love, to be seen and known. My role is to step courageously into relationships, not as a wallflower, or he won't respect me, but as one willing to wrestle, even to confront. In the relationship, I display a safe strength, modeling vulnerability while at the same time creating what therapists call a holding environment for his strength and energy. When the challenger experiences this, he is more apt to relax a bit, to open up, to acknowledge his impact on others. Deep down, this person who does not want you to reduce them to one common denominator, emotion, or characteristic, namely anger. My deal for them is, let's agree that you're angry, but anger isn't all you are, and let's listen to the story of your anger together. Now, in this, it's coming from an aspect that this person is working with people who are narcissistic. They're working with people who struggle, and especially in this one category, that's Enneagram 8, the challenger, that's the one that I identify with. And so reading that, I'm like, wow, like that actually impacts me a lot. That actually shows me a lot. Now, what I want you to hear is just a disclaimer, okay? With everything that he writes, he's in that particular field working, not in a relationship, but working with these people to try to get them to a place of healing and growth. Like, he's trying to help them, okay? This is not something that if you're in a relationship and the other person is abusing you in any manner, shape, or form, that it's saying you need to love them more. Okay, so hear that loud and clear real quick. If you're in an abusive relationship with a narcissist, with an abuser, with a toxic person, and this is going on, you need to leave. They need to work on themselves. You need to work on healing yourself from that trauma. And that's that. Okay, so I'm not saying, not giving hope, and I'm not saying like, hey, stay with your abuser. Just want to be clear with that. Okay, what I am saying is I identify with this section of the book that's talking about Enneagram 8, which is my personality type, and narcissism. So in one of the comments, it mentions in what I read, the idea of a tornado, the idea that the narcissist feels like a tornado. And so true, because a narcissist is coming into a person's life and they're really ripping apart everything. They're tearing away your self-esteem, your confidence, your joy, your gratitude, your friends, your family, your job, your house, everything. It's almost like they're just ripping it apart. But the thing is, the narcissist isn't the person who's standing on the edge and feeling all the weight of that. They're kind of standing in the middle of the tornado. It's like the eye of the storm, and while they're standing there, everything is whipping around them, destroying and damaging lives around them, but they're kind of like in the middle, in peace and in calm. Because for a narcissist, chaos is calm. Because the chaos they create is exactly that. They're the ones creating it, so it feels calm because they are in control. That's when the narcissist feels a lot of times the calmest, is when they are in control. I really connected with that, and maybe I should do a video on it. Like, the narcissist loves control, but they really are like a tornado, destroying people around them while living in the center, feeling like at peace with themselves in one aspect. A lot of times people will view this Enneagram 8 as being the bully, as being the person that's going to run over people to get what they want. And that was me. And that was me all the time in the work environment. I would have an idea. I would say, this is what we're going to do. And I would roll it out, and everybody would be like, where did this come from? Like, I had no clue we were even doing this. Or I'd roll out an idea and be like, everybody's going to like this. And people are like, I hate it. Like, it's awful. And I wouldn't get buy-in. I'd get people like frustrated. I'd get people mad at me. I'd get all this like pushback. And I didn't realize like what I was doing. I was just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. I'm the best person. I have the best option. Boom, let's do it. And as a result, I steamrolled over a lot of people trying to get a project off the ground or trying to get something implemented. Another thing that I correlated with and like understood is like the concept of being like that little boy that doesn't want to let people in. And so true. You've heard some of my videos about vulnerability, and I mean it when I say vulnerability sucks. Like, it's the idea of taking down my armor and revealing that there's something else inside. And that's scary. And that's hard to be able to open up. But that's also something I connect with. There also is an aspect that mentioned the person in their life not being a wallflower, because then they won't respect. It's so true, especially for me with my personality type. Like, if someone comes to me and they say, hey, I don't think we should do this for this, and this reason, I'm like, oh, like that makes sense. Or I might push back a little bit and they'd be like, yeah, and I think this reason as well. And I'd be like, okay, like that makes sense. I want people to be able to come and say, hey, these are the options. These are my thoughts. These are what I have. These are the problems that I have, whatever it might be. And not just be like, oh yeah, we'll just do whatever you want. Like, that doesn't fly. And that's not something I like. And so it's like frustrating with, like, if I push back on someone and they come up with an idea and I'm like, well, what about this? And they're like, oh, never mind. Then I'm like, I don't really have much respect for you because what I said just changed your mind like that. And it's very easy for it to happen. That's something I connect with as well, with Enneagram, with narcissism. Okay, the idea that they create, that Chuck DeGoat is talking about trying to create a safe environment, a safe strength and like a stronghold, like a holding environment where basically the narcissist is able to come to the table and say, hey, this is what I feel, this is what I think. And for me, that was a huge aspect of getting into therapy, of realizing that I could sit across the table from somebody else that's a therapist and I could say, hey, this is my shit. And I didn't feel judged for it. And that's like the fourth, fifth therapist that I'd been with at that point when I first started going to the one that I've been going to now for over a year. And there was other ones that I would feel that way. Like, I would feel that way when I'd start approaching the topic of the affairs that I'd have, or the triangulation or the quadrupulation I had with like multiple people at the same time. And I'd look at the other person and I'd see like their response. I'd see how they're reacting. I'm just like, I don't feel safe to share this because of how they're responding to me, because of how they're interacting. I've had therapists like get mad at me or like get frustrated or kind of like push back or come at me. And I'm just like, this isn't a safe environment to be able to express what's going on. And then the other thing that is very common with Enneagram 8s, and so you have narcissism in here that like really brings it out because you have a lot of anger, you have a lot of rage. The thing is with narcissism, with Enneagrams, a lot of times they don't understand how to be able to articulate what those are. So like a year ago, if you asked me about like feelings or emotions, it'd be like anger, happiness. Yeah. Like there wasn't a whole lot of depth on different aspects of feelings, of different aspects of emotions. I knew that there was different things there, but knowing how to articulate it was like virtually almost impossible. And I didn't know what was going on underneath the surface, what were the levels below my feelings to figure out the emotions. Like I didn't know what was down there. And it was scary. And it was something that I didn't want to open up and didn't want to share with other people. But a lot of times with Enneagrams 8s, they feel like everybody reduces them down to one thing, and that's anger. And you'll hear that like if I get passionate, you'll hear that if I get frustrated, you hear that if I'm like trying to like prove a point or something like that, or I might not even know, or I might not even be actually angry, but in the moment that's how it's portrayed. And that moment is how it comes across. Well, I'd love to talk more about Enneagram, and maybe we can do that sometime, but I just want to share at least a little bit, kind of an excerpt of the book and just kind of some of my take on it with narcissism and with Enneagram 8, because that's something I connect with a lot. So if you're watching this, you don't know anything about Enneagram, check it out. And go try it, go take an assessment, see what it's all about. There's a lot of good information about it. The thing is, Enneagram doesn't, define you as a good or a bad person. It just says, hey, this is your personality type, and here's how you can work to grow it, and here's how you can work to not grow it or to go an unhealthy route. So be careful with it, but check it out and see what it's about. It's a very helpful tool to help understand and know yourself so that you can work on growing and getting better and changing those aspects in your life that you want to go towards growth mode and help become a better person every single day. If you're interested in working on becoming a better person every single day, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, just click on the link down below in the bio. Would love to interact with you. Would love to talk to you and see what's going on, how I can connect with you, and how I can help you to level up in any aspect of your life. Anyways, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or check out the podcast on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much.